Are you ready? Because I have some big announcements tonight. We are going to have First Communion soon. All right, so what happens when the Archdiocese makes a big announcement like you can have masses again? Or when the governor decides to reopen the state after we've been closed for a while. The governor releases a certain number of requirements, and then the Archdiocese releases a certain number of requirements, and we have to find a way to make everything match both sets of requirements. Unfortunately, things like Vacation Bible School, where we have a large number of people floating around and doing different activities and using different supplies, there's no way I can make it work with the governor's requirements this year. On top of that, the Archdiocese then came back and said no non-liturgical gatherings more than 10 kids. So the PLC is currently still not available, but we are able to have masses. So what we do then is I have my plan for the perfect First Communion, and I send that over to Deacon Ralph. We go back and forth over how to do the regulations, how to meet what the Archdiocese has us doing for Mass, and then once we have a good plan, then I can send that on to Father D, and Father D has gotten back to me, and we have an approved plan for Sacraments. So I want to go through this with everyone. I know you got the bones of it in your email, so I have my exact plan, and I want to walk everyone through exactly what we're going to be doing on those days. So, number one, important dates you need to know. June 9th, 6 to 8 p.m. This is next Tuesday for First Reconciliation. June 9th, 6 to 8 p.m. If you are not available on June 9th and your child has not gotten First Reconciliation, you got to call the parish office and make an appointment. Everyone has to go to Reconciliation before they can receive First Communion. It's canon law. Just like you have to be baptized in order to get the other sacraments, you go to Reconciliation before you go to Communion. So, First Reconciliation, June 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. First Communion days, we're going to have 2 days. So before we were split up into 3 masses with 30 kids in each mass. That was too many for the number of people allowed in a room that had to be 6 feet apart. We couldn't fit the kids in the classroom like that. And it also didn't match with the Archdiocese guidelines for having a mass. So what we're going to do is 2 weekends. There's June 20th and June 27th. If you were scheduled for the whatever mass before 9 o'clock mass, you're still in the 9 o'clock mass now. Just depending on which side of the list you were on. You know, the first half is going to go on the 20th, the second half is going to go on the 27th. So, 2 dates. The masses are still the 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock, June 20th and 27th. The listings for the masses are in our virtual classroom. So log into the virtual classroom and you can pull up your mass times from there. All right, rehearsals for those masses. If you are a June 20th mass, the rehearsal for the 9 o'clock mass is June 15th at 5:30 p.m. If you are going to the 9 o'clock mass on June 20th, your rehearsal is June 15th at 5:30 p.m. If you're in the 11 o'clock mass on June 20th, your rehearsal is June 15th at 6:30 p.m. So if you are June 20th at 11 o'clock, rehearsal is June 15th at 6:30. If you are June 20th at 1 o'clock p.m., your rehearsal is June 16th at 6 o'clock p.m. Okay, so rehearsals are June 15th and 16th for June 20th. And again, it's going to be in our virtual classroom, so you can look it up there. All right, if you are going on June 27th, your rehearsals are June 23rd and 24th. The 9 o'clock Mass is June 23rd at 5:30 p.m. The 11 o'clock Mass is June 23rd at 6:30 p.m. And rehearsal for the 1 o'clock Mass is June 24th at 6 o'clock p.m. So according to this plan, we'll have 14 to 17 children per Mass. What we're going to do, if you've had a child receive communion before, we've always had all the kids sit in the front pews. And instead, what we'll do this year is each family will have a pew. We're going to stagger you guys every other pew. You got the 6 feet. We're going to ask you to limit your guests to either immediate family or just enough for that pew. You can't go over that one pew. There's nowhere else to put you. We have to keep a pew of distance between each family. So you each get one pew to your family, and then our first communion child is going to sit on the aisle side, and we'll stagger you guys left to right. So your Mass size has shrunk. You're going to have fewer kids, and you guys are going to sit as a family in the Mass. Okay? There's... trying to make sure I go through everything with you. Families are seated together, one family per pew. Procession. If you've gone before, we usually have the kids process 2 at a time. This time they're only going to process 1 child at a time, and we're going to keep them that 6 feet apart, but then they will just get to their aisle and genuflect and go into their seats. So that should be, we'll go through all of that at rehearsal also. They will hold in the classroom. So when you come to rehearsal, you're going to drop your child at the classroom, and you are going to go to the church and wait for them in the church, and I will bring them to you in the church. So you're going to drop them in their classroom and then head to the church. We only need 1 adult at the rehearsals because, again, we have to do the whole social distancing thing, and everybody has to sit the 6 feet apart. So we'll have your pews labeled. You'll know where your child is going. You'll drop them off at the classroom, and then you're going to go. All right. We'll do hand sanitizer for the kids as they come into the classroom, hand sanitizer on their way out of the classroom. The priest is still going to come in and bless their gifts for them before Mass, so you can still bring your gifts in. However, we will not be doing receptions after Mass. I know in the past we've had a cake and punch reception. We won't be doing the receptions after Mass this year. And just like in Mass right now, everyone needs to wear a mask during Mass. You need to bring a mask with you and wear it as long as you are in the church. When you come to Mass right now, if you are not sitting in the Mass, if you're sitting in the courtyard or in the gym, then you don't have to wear a mask. But since we'll all be in the church together, we're all going to have to wear masks during the Masses. So keep that in mind. Things like our group photos and stuff like that, I have not gotten word back on how we would do that. So keep that in mind. I will have posted information for Rudy, our photographer. If you would like to hire Rudy, or if you want to do outside photography, you have that option also. But those sorts of details we haven't worked out yet because, you know, all the kids would have to stand as a group. So we'll figure that out as we go. But that is our Mass outline for now. Now, for next Tuesday for reconciliation, here's where it gets a little wild. So in the past, we've always had our group reconciliation service inside the church. Since we cannot do that right now because of all the distancing and there's so many children and we need to all go at the same time, we are going to do a drive-by style reconciliation. Very similar to what you've seen in the newspapers, very similar to what you've seen some of the schools do with the teachers where we'll drive through. So when you arrive to church on the 9th, you are going to pull into the parking lot. Me or Maria or one of our other volunteers is going to be standing at the top of the parking lot when you first pull in. We'll check you in. We're going to give you a copy of the Act of Contrition. We'll give you a copy of an examination of conscience, and we're going to give you your reconciliation card. You'll then proceed through the line. We're going to use the gym. We have 4 priests coming, and they will be stationed at each of the gym doors. There are 4 doors to the gym. So they'll be stationed at each of the gym doors. We are going to pull the line through as there is an opening for each child. The child can hop out of the car, go to reconciliation. When they're finished, they give the priest their card, hop back in their car and go. And then we'll wave down the next set of cars. So that's how we'll do it on the 9th. So some things you need for the 9th. masks, gloves. If you're going to be handling items, the person that hands you your card will be wearing gloves. But the cards are big, so they shouldn't have to change gloves in between each child because they'll be holding on to just their side, and then you guys will pick up yours, kind of like, a drive-through. If you want to wear gloves, you have the option to sit with the priest, or you can stand, so that we don't have to disinfect chairs after each child. If they just want to stand for their sacrament, they're allowed to do so. If they'd like to sit down, we'll disinfect the chairs after each child. So there'll be a chair available there, and then they'll go and receive their sacrament, get back in the car, and go. And that is for June 9th. So I just want to give you the quick overview of reconciliations and first communions. Since we don't get to sit in class and have me explain all the details, I wanted to take some time to do that with you guys now. So remember, June 9th, first reconciliations. It's a week away. We're going to see each other again in a week, and I am so excited. So June 9th, reconciliations. June 20th, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock for First Communions. June 27th, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock for First Communions. This is being posted to our YouTube channel. I'm also putting in our virtual classroom. Check in that classroom. Before you can receive sacraments, you have to finish the sacrament prep courses. So if you haven't finished your reconciliation book, your First Communion book, and the First Communion retreat, you are behind. I have several people that haven't turned in that First Communion retreat yet, so make sure you get that done before the 9th. I know I've sent that email with the classroom information so many times. If you need it, let me know and I'll get that back out to you. But you have to get that retreat turned back in. It was due, I believe, May 17th. And so it's overdue at this point, but you should still have access to it. I haven't cut off access to it or anything like that. So get into the virtual classroom. The mass list will be posted in the virtual classroom. This video will be posted in the virtual classroom. And the retreat is still there for us to finish up. All right. You guys have a great night. I am so excited to see you again next week. And then starting tomorrow, I'm going to post some videos about some saints and blessed people that you can pray with and talk about leading up to your First Communion. Some prayers we can do for each other leading up to our First Communion. And we can really start to prepare for this great sacrament that we're all going to receive together. I am so excited that we get to be back in class together and see each other again. All right. Last thing, if someone in your family is an altar server and they would like to altar serve for your First Communion Mass, let me know as soon as possible and I will plug them into that date before I go and ask for altar servers for First Communion Day. All right, guys, have a great night. I will see you very soon. God bless. Bye.